Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today on Disrupt and Innovate, I am so thrilled to welcome Sura Al Naimi, the CEO and Chief Co-Creator at Hi Hello Sura. On her path, she guides restless thinkers and big-hearted leaders to reconnect with their inner compass, bridging the space between who they are and the impact they long to make. With a background in shaping innovation at Disney, she's here to show us that real transformation doesn't come from quick fixes. It begins when we lead authentically from the inside out. Sura, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Lisa, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been thrilled that we get this opportunity.
I am so excited. Today is a special episode. It's the first one in this series that I've ever done where we're going to not just have a conversation, but we're going to play a little bit. Before we do that, and it's also, I think it's the end of the year celebration edition of the show. So I hope that everybody is having a wonderful holiday season and has a few minutes to sit back and enjoy this journey with us. So before we get started with that, will you talk to the audience a little bit about what you're doing and why it's so important for leaders today?
Yes, Lisa. So we've all heard the words creativity and innovation, of course. But when we think about all the change that is currently occurring and continues to occur at such a fast rate, people are kind of wondering which way is up and which way is down. And I think that the role that our creativity can have in terms of tapping into the resources that we already have with curiosity and imagination, but within, a container that creates impact, that's becoming more and more important. And also having that shared language around that so that together we're able to think differently. And, as a leader, change is a constant, change is definitive. But what role can I as a leader play amongst all of that? And really, it's being able to have that open mind, to have that sense of curiosity that is kind of going to guide us through the ebbs and flows of business change, landscape change, and just also just personal change. Like, what role am I playing when technology is adjusting so rapidly? So I think that as an anchor is becoming more and more important.
It is, and change is a constant. It's the only thing, death, taxes, and change. There are things that we can count on them being there for us. Whether we like it or not, they're real. Your approach is called ProPlay. Tell me a little bit about what it is and what you do with your clients that is so positively, disruptively different than what everybody else is doing.
Yes, so ProPlay is bringing us back to what we already know best. It's our ability to play. And there are models and elements that we're going to see in just a moment. And what's incredible about that is that, we have all the answers. And so by working with things with our hands kinesthetically, we're very rapidly able to create new futures, new potentials. And then very quickly, we're able to garner a response. Like, is this something that I want? What needs to change? What's working? What's not functioning? What's aligned? And so when we think about, for example, AI, it's that ability to prototype really rapidly. If you were Leonardo da Vinci and you had AI with you, you would be able to do, 1,000 iterations, in a few minutes, right? So if you think about, you're thinking about the future of your business, about legacy, for example, you might sketch out, 2 or 3 examples, and, that might not feel like finished, or it might not feel quite right. With ProPlay, it gives you this tangible expression to very rapidly lean into things that you have been pondering and very quickly be able to see, is the aspects of this working for me or not? Because so often we stay in that kind of, that cerebral space. And then by the time we actually get around to making something real, because we've spent so long, we sort of feel so committed to it, even though it might not be the right strategy or the right approach. So that's sort of the beauty of ProPlay, to be able to do that for yourself. But also as a team, I can interact with your model of the world and you can interact with mine. So how powerful is that to get alignment?
And doing it through the guise of play, right? We take away and
Mm-hmm.
strip away all of the artifice of being strategic thinkers, of having to be being smart and be correct and be all
Right.
of the things, and pare it down to something that we've been doing since we were toddlers.
Right.
Some of us may have actually forgotten the fun of play and actually
Mm-hmm.
thinking sort of without constraints, outside the box, and actually having fun. Well, let's get ready to jump into that. Let's bring up the stage and let's see what ProPlay looks like. All right. So
All
you've set up
right.
for us,
That's right.
and in front of us we have some toys.
We do. We have some models. And so here we have the models and here we have the elements. And so without spending too long talking about it, we can kind of just jump right in. So I know that you are, you're thinking about your organization and the future of your organization. And so this is really our opportunity to play a little about, like future casting, a little bit of time travel, if you will. So
Okay.
what I would invite you to do is choose a model and guide me in terms of your current situation, and then choose 3 elements that describe your current situation. So when you think about the challenge or the opportunity ahead for your organization, what's one model and 3 elements that represent that?
Okay, so you might have to help me find the images, but right, well, the thing that stands out to me, right, is we have a single point of failure, and that's
Mhm.
me. And so I don't know if that's maybe the caution cone.
Okay.
Right, we've got a caution cone because danger, right? There's an opportunity for things to not go so well.
Hmm.
And with that, I see something that I'm going to say is like a witch's hat, and we rely on the magic of me
Hmm.
to make things happen. And if I were to break my leg and be out of the office and need a crutch, we'd be in a bad place.
Absolutely. And can I choose any of these, or is there one that
Yep.
tracks to be? Yep. Okay, I'll put you right here. Great. So then when we think about, and that was beautiful. So when we think about time traveling into the future, how do you imagine that to be? What's important for you? What represents that from the elements perspective?
So looking into the future is a brand new prospect for me, and actually creating and making this, we talked, right, a family business and
Hmm.
growing this for the idea of legacy. And so looking there, I see the robot, and the robot talks to me about automation and AI, and those are things that'll be part of that reality. And then I think that we also we need to look at a skateboard and bringing in resources who are younger, who have a different perspective that will add value to that, and
What else?
diversifying our workforce. I don't know how more people, different people, if you've got something
Mm,
there that can help with that.
will the octopus be sufficient?
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay, great. And so then, when we want to time travel back in time, and so think of a challenge that you overcame, and think about the resources that you had to overcome it, as well as what you had to let go of in order to overcome it.
So, in that leveraging and utilizing technology, so there was something in there that looked a little bit like a computer, right? And it's not just about human effort, it's about leveraging tools and technology to give the lift for growth and scale. Starting to bring in AI so that we can use people with more purpose, more strategically, and let the tool set do some of the things that the tools need to do. We did a big focus on that last year.
So, okay, yes, so this is something recent, but in the last year that you overcame. Great. So you used AI and systems as one thing. What were other resources that you were able to draw upon to overcome the challenge?
Well, people, right? And finding
People.
highly skilled and qualified people. So bringing in knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what did you need to let go of? Is there anything here that represents what you needed to let go of?
Is there something there that represents my need to control?
I don't
To
know
have my fingers.
what speaks to you from the elements.
Uh, is there one thing there? Is that sort of a life ring, a life raft?
Oh yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, great.
So I had to let go of being that safety net.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So then in your current day position, which is just right here, and
Yeah.
thinking about going from today into the future, is there anything from the resources that you had in the past or what you had to let go of that can inspire you to get from today to tomorrow? Or does any of that thinking actually inspire you in other ways of resources that you might need to get from today to tomorrow?
So, and for those who are just listening to us, right, we're looking at an image where I am standing there with a crutch in my hand, wearing my wizard's hat, holding onto a life ring, staring desperately at a caution cone because there's trouble lurking ahead because the way I've always done it is not going to sustain me. Another part of the picture, we have some people who are sitting with the technology that are that opportunity that I've leveraged in the recent past, looking towards that future self or that future state where we are playing with things. There are more people. And we literally are playing on our skateboard. We are moving faster and doing more things with automation. And it's a lovely picture, and it is all done with children's toys. So, Sora, your question back to me, I wanted to frame that for people who are just listening, right? These are all just fun little toys that she's navigated around the board for me. The key, I think, for me in all of this is to think differently and to leverage people differently and to find the next generations of me. And that is the octopus that we started to look at there. And that is potentially my kids or my stepkids who are maturing into their late 20s, early 30s, approaching 30, and wanting to do things differently with their careers because they're dissatisfied with traditional work environments. And how can we build from what we have today into something that is appealing to Gen Z and something that they can sustain into the future that has an impact similar or hopefully significantly better than what I'm doing with L cubed today.
Amazing. And so, as you look at this picture and as you're sharing what's here, just to kind of ground it, are there any additional resources that you would want to tap into, which we put here, or anything that you need to let go of today in order to get to tomorrow, to the octopus, to the new generation?
So looking at that and what some of the visualizations might represent, the caution cone, right, is that thing that
Mm,
I think is fear, right? It's a
mm-hmm.
fear of uncertainty, it's fear of change, and all of the things that you and I both talk with clients about on a day in and day out basis. But sometimes when we're in this hot seat, right, I heard a new phrase that I've stolen from a colleague, a friend. I have to drink my own champagne.
Yes.
So much better than eating dog food, don't you think? I need to
Oh, yeah.
drink my own champagne and step into that uncertainty myself because
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know exactly what that's going to look like, what
Right.
that future is.
Right. And so you need you to embody it yourself, really,
Yeah.
before you can ask others to do so.
Yeah. And I think I need,
Amazing.
obviously, for today, right? It's just you and me, but I need to bring others into the conversation and we need to diversify what it is that one person, Zach has the ability to bring more skills similar to mine, program management, process management type things. His wife, Morgan, is an educator. How can educational design make a difference? My stepdaughter, Zara, she's a creative. And that is not something that I see directly impacting the business, but she also sells. And over the
Right.
weekend, we were working on her resume for something she's trying to do right now. And she looked at me, she said, I can sell anything. And
Wow.
gosh, I wish when I was 26 years old, I felt like I could have sold anything. Where would I be today? It would be remarkably different than where I am. And so, yeah, I have a pool that I've never considered to play
Mm,
with and to test and to
mm.
experiment and see where we go.
I put a little globe there for your pool, your resources. And I put a little cone there to represent letting go of the fear. And I don't have champagne, but I'm going to put a violin here because you're gonna make the song, you're gonna drink the champagne, you're gonna be
Mm.
along with it. And so it sounds like as you observe this, you're getting some insights. And so, what actions would you take as a consequence of just this very quick exercise?
Well, from this very quick exercise, right, it's really obvious that if I take the octopus, right, I pull the people and all of those things that are out there that I know are sitting on the horizon that I just haven't engaged with, I would like to say properly, but it's simply haven't engaged with really at all to think through and play with the ideas. That's the
Mm,
logical next step, to map out a potential future. What does
right,
it look like for each of the 4 or 5 of us, right? There's the fifth person in the equation, my business partner and their dad, Dave, in the technology side of this. What's that piece of that puzzle? And right, we have just exponentially changed everything.
right, right. Well, that's beautiful. And so this is a really very quick example of, making something tangible and then very quickly being able to see okay, this is obviously what's going on, and these are some actions that I would take going forward. So whether it's from a business perspective, whether you're future planning for next year or the next few years, or you're just faced with, a challenge that's niggling you and keeps on coming up, this has the versatility for you just to dip in very quickly and then back out again. And then, it's interesting to see how other people create their future scapes as well. And so then with that as well, there's the opportunity, like you mentioned, that you want to bring other people in to have those conversations. And there's a way to do that without, obviously it's lovely to have them there too, but there's a way to do that to sort of seek their counsel, or maybe to seek the counsel of those that you wish were on your council for advice, And so if we imagine that, let's put a few people here. If we imagine that these individuals are a part of your council, who might they be? And if you were to have a conversation with them, what would they reveal to you? So, who might this person be if you had somebody on your imaginary council, like this person right here?
So somebody on that council, right, is going to look at how do we sell differently? How do we sell services that are not just tied to my knowledge and my expertise and what we've done over the last 16 years that are very much siloed into a series of things that we do quite nicely. But if we're adding new skills and capabilities to the resource pool, what new things can we bring to market?
Mm-hmm. And so is there an element that represents that inspires that conversation?
The jester's hat, let's play with that for a minute, right? Because that
Oh,
is that element of play, of considering and testing and teasing out new ideas, and anything is possible, and the only thing that's not possible is the thing we fail to consider. So staying in the mind of play.
I love that. And then let's think about the second person, and then what's an element that represents a conversation with the second person? Who might this person be, and what element might represent that?
That person might be, I don't know, I might be stumped on that one. So we're looking at new products and services. We're looking at new people to deliver. So you've got a little suitcase there. This next person, right, this next group of people potentially are ones who are delivering services without me.
Okay.
And they are packing up and they are going wherever in the world we need them to be, and making sure that we have raving fans of our new clients. And it is not dependent on me being at the center of that experience.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so the beauty of this is that, these mentors can be real or fictitious. And so, it could be somebody from the past. It could be, a fantastical, individual, and they all have the ability to deliver some sort of inspiration for your challenge. And so a lot of the time in creativity sessions, we'll say, what would Darth Vader say? Or, what would Kermit the Frog say? And it's funny because people will say, I don't really know that much about that individual. But when they kind of step into that, all of a sudden, new nuggets are revealed in terms of insight, of direction, just a slightly different lens from what we had before to inspire action.
And, as we've gone through this exercise, right, for those of you watching it, right, the toys are fun and it engages us in a childlike wonder and a creative and fun sort of way. If you're just listening to the dialogue, Sora's taken me through a thinking process that has taken me from where am I today and what are my constraints, looking at what the future might actually hold, and then ideating through what are some of the things that I need from other people, other resources to help get me from where I am to where we want to be. What an absolutely fantastic experience that we've just done in about 11 minutes. Can you imagine or share with us? You don't have to imagine, Sura, you do this with your clients all the time. Will you share with us a story, an experience where you've taken a team through something like this and how they worked through a challenge and had a real breakthrough, leveraging creativity and curiosity to get to a better future?
Absolutely. Yes. So, I don't know about you, but whenever we're doing sort of, brand pillars or architecture, these things can get very, very wordy. And so imagine a room that, is a big banquet room and the walls are just filled with paper and they're all different data points, they're interviews, they're verbatim, and everything is very, very important, of course. And so you have this just density of information. And this was where ProPlay was brought in with really like great effect. We had people, reading the walls and kind of spotting the themes. Imagine, when you watch Dexter or something, you've got like that murder scene and you're trying to connect the dots, but like no one got killed in the process. And so people are doing that, and then they come back together, and the idea is to synthesize and to say, like what's going on here. And then that becomes the foundation for creation. So this is where we brought ProPlay in, because instead of asking people to dialogue this initially, we got them to play out what they thought they were seeing. What are the core insights? What are this was a health project. So what are the core insights related to this hospital, for example? Like, what are the core needs? And they were very quickly able to model the different human truths, if you will. And then based on that, we got to some core insights just through the modeling. And then once we had done that, we said, okay, great. It seems like we have these 5 core insights just through the modeling. Now, when we think about our experience design, how do we want that to map out in terms of, digitally on a physical level? How do we want this to be expressed? So then again, people got into the modeling. Okay, well, if it's with ease, if the value is with ease, then we would design the entryway this way. We would design the digital experience like this. We would have you greeted by this concierge. And all of that was very quickly mapped out with these models. And so what that did is that it kind of got over that wordsmithing that can sometimes happen in these situations. And people can feel really drained. And it just really raises, what's already there in the subconscious that people are seeing. They were very quickly able to express into, brand pillars, architecture design that could go straight into consumer testing. All of this happened within a span of 2 days. And so, and with high energy, and also getting consensus between, 27 vice presidents. A lot of opinion in the room, but what ProPlay also does is, because you're able to see something really quickly, people are able to like very quickly say, oh no, like that's not going to work, or oh yeah, let's change this up. And so I think it really gives everybody a voice in the room too, where the one who's really great at writing might have been the one that led, or I can't interact with your writing or your drawing, but we can actually genuinely collaborate together on this.
And that's a fabulous point, right? If we get stuck and we're hands down and we're writing things out or we're drawing pictures, it is very individual centric. But when you have the models in your hand and you're moving pieces around on the stage, you're able to actually figure out critical touch points, what some of those challenges might be, what those roadblocks might be, and let the teams figure out the solutions in real time in I would even call this, right, a pre-process prototype. This is all still play, right? We are in the land of ideation and play, and so many of those problems can be solved really, really early on in this approach. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And thank you for sharing an example from a field where the idea of thinking and talking about creativity in healthcare is probably not something that people initially put together. And yet in 2 days, that environment, they were able to tackle really big things, getting 27 senior leaders to the idea of consensus, which most facilitators will say trying to get to consensus will kill any experience that you have. And you've just turned that model upside down and backwards.
It's it's like, when you taste a good meal, it speaks for itself. So this methodology really does all of the heavy lifting, honestly. And also what I love about it is that if you think about your business and the scenarios that you're facing, you probably have different ways of working things out, right? That you have models, etc. And ProPlay just adds so nicely into that, because it suddenly becomes an extension of it. Idea of playing, observing, what's going on, what are the insights, and then what action am I taking? That loop just keeps going, And so I think that's wonderful. And then even when you're thinking about a team structure, we're talking about legacy, what what's at stake, between 2 individuals, and what are we willing to give and what are we withholding? Even just doing that exercise solo with the models has revealed so many things, without even, not to say don't go and talk to the individual, but you can do a lot of the heavy lifting ahead of time, for team dynamic.
Absolutely. Sura, if you have piqued the interest and curiosity of members of the audience, how do they reach out to you? How do they learn more about you and ProPlay?
Yes, so LinkedIn, just my name, Sura Al Naimi. and my website, Hi Hello Sura.
Audience, today we had a lot of fun. We actually Sora doing a live demo with me about my business so that you could see the experience. I personally really wish I'd been able to touch and feel and handle the actual figurines because I think that that's part of the experience. But we did a very micro example of what it means to look at your business through the lens of ProPlay, to get in that space that we all have inside of us, to get back to our childlike curiosity, to actually play, to leave our egos and our things at the door. Because once we step into this world of play, we have the answers. We already have and know what we need to get to. But in our ability to play with this, we can create the connectivity, build the models, and see what is possible for our future. And with that, we had the micro example of my live role play, and Sura shared with us taking this to the field, the healthcare field, and actually making tangible impact in a 2-day session. This is a game-changing approach. We all know that curiosity drives innovation, and innovation will drive our businesses into the future. And Sura gave us a 10-minute demonstration on how easy it can actually be. Sura, thank you so much for being here with us today. I appreciate your time. I love doing the role play. And audience members, you know my rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.